Hey everyone, welcome. This is Jamie Pate, and today is a Minc It Monday video, and I do this for the Heidi Swapp blog. So below you will see the post that goes with this video linked below, so be sure and check that out because this is a technique video. And technique, I mean we're going to be playing with the toner ink, Heidi Swapp Minc toner ink. If you haven't seen this in action yet, I'm going to share this with you today, how this works, how to get it ready to work, and how to use it in different mediums. Included with this, you're going to also need the Heidi Swapp toner stamp pad, and those work together to make this all come to life. And I have some art walk stamps here that we'll be using to make this toner ink come to life with a Minc machine and foil. And so let's get started. Are you ready? Grab all your supplies, all linked below, and let's go. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, the toner ink comes with this measuring cup. And to start, you may have seen Heidi Swapp do this on her IGTV, but to start, you're going to put about 15 milliliters of the toner ink right to a fresh ink pad. And you just want to kind of, oops, you don't want to do that. I don't usually do that, but I just spilled some of my ink over into the side reservoir. So just be careful of that. And then, so that's 10, and I'm going to go in here and measure 5 more liters and add that to the pad. How about I keep it on the table this time, and that way I probably have less chance of spilling it into the reservoir side of the stamp pad. Then what happens next is we're going to let this sit up for about 15 minutes. In the meantime, I'm going to go in and clean up that reservoir so it doesn't look so icky and doesn't have so much ink sitting loose like that. And I'll come back after this is set up for 15 minutes and we'll get started with some stamping. Okay, so the ink is set up here on the pad. I keep saying ink, it's toner ink, so I'm just going to allude to it as ink if you hear me say that here and as we go through this video. But the pad has now been sitting up for about 15 minutes. I have here from the Art Walk collection a very gummed up palm tree stamp, which is okay. Don't worry about the gummed up. These are tools. They're going to get dirty. These don't necessarily clean up perfectly when you're using the toner ink. And because we're making MemoryDex cards, I don't know if you can see this. This is a piece of acetate craft plastic. I cut it out with one of the MemoryDex templates. And with this weight of acetate or craft plastic, it doesn't completely cut all the way through. So it left a really nice impression. And then I just went through and trimmed around where the impression was. So it actually cut pretty good. Just know that this is a little bit heavier material and it's not going to cut perfectly with the die, with the MemoryDex die. So let's get started. I just want to create a little motif around the acetate. So I'm going to tap, tap, tap here with my stamp. And be careful if you get any of the ink on your fingers. It's going to transfer to the acetate if you're not careful. So I have a piece of blotter paper down on my work surface because I'm going to be stamping over. And then once I have my motif stamped as I like it, I'm going to set it up on my machine. Now my Minc machine is set to 5. And what I'll do is I'll put this acetate up there for about 2-ish minutes. That one you're not going to probably see too well, but that one got a little smudgy, but I'm just going to go with it. So I'm going to set it up here where my machine is nice and warm and let that sit up for about about 2 minutes is what I do. Okay, so what I'll do now is, this is just a regular way to foil with the Minc machine. You'll lay the foil right on top and run it through the machine on 5, and then we'll see what we get. Okay, so that's gone through the machine on the 5 setting, and let's see what our results are here. There we go. So if you can see the foil against the acetate, kind of tough to see. You'll see when I make this card in the post how this looks, but we have a really good impression there of the palm in pink with the toner ink. Okay, now let's try it on vellum. Okay, I have cut with the die, the MemoryDex die, piece of vellum. So it's this one, but it's just flipped over this way. And my paper wants to curl, but I'll just flatten that out here. This time I'm going to use another one of the texture stamps from Art Walk. And again, just kind of tap, tap, tap. On this stamp, it kind of picks up the edge a little bit, which I'm actually kind of okay with that. It sort of looks okay. So we're going to just embrace that. And then I want this to go sort of here in the middle. And this time we're going to be double stamping. To do that though, well, double stamping, what do I mean by that? I want to do 2 different colors of foil. So this one is going to dry just like I did before. I'm going to set it here on the machine and let it dry for about 2-ish minutes. And then run it through the machine with gold foil or the champagne foil. Then I am going to stamp again. I'm going to use the palm leaf again and stamp that and then foil that with pink. Okay, so this went through the machine just like the acetate did with the champagne foil. And you can see the impression there in, that's not impression, the stamped with the toner ink with the champagne. So that turned out pretty good. Now we're going to stamp it a second time. The palm leaf is back on my stamp block and I'm going to tap on the foil, the toner ink again. And I think I'm going to go in here, try to decide how I want this to look. Make sure you press nice and firm to get that toner ink transferred. And again, we're going to let that dry and run it through the machine with a pink foil this time. Okay, let's reveal the vellum and the stamps, and that's really pretty. Can you see how that turned out? So we have beautiful 2-toned champagne and pink toner ink stamp on our vellum, and we'll back that up and you'll see how that turned out as a MemoryDex card in the post as well. All right, the last card and technique I'm going to show you today, this is pattern paper from Art Walk, and there's one pattern, it's called Terrace, has this beautiful kind of acrylic paint sort of blend on the one side. The other side is mostly white and has some texturing that you could see up close. I'm going to use this side, the white side, because I really want the stamps and the foil to show. What I'm going to do this time though, you can see I cut it out of this MemoryDex die. This time I want to add, with the texture stamps from Art Walk, I just want to add a texture here along the edge and then a postage mark. So I'm going to go ahead and lay in this texture. I'm going to kind of soften up the edges there. If you wonder what I'm doing, just going in and making sure I don't have any hard edges. So that's going to have just this really subtle foil effect happening here. Let's see. And I'm going to do one more. This time I'm really going to take that edge off. So fingers are going to get dirty. Just have some wipes handy to clean up, because any place that you're going to accidentally transfer this ink is going to pick up foil when it gets run through the machine. Okay, this time I will use, I believe, the pink for this foil, and I'll show you how that turns out. And that is how that texture stamp worked out right there. Kind of cool, huh? I like how that turned out. Then the last part of this card is going to be this postage stamp that's also part of Art Walk. It might be my favorite stamp in that little set. I'm going to bring it down here and it will then be foiled with the champagne. Nice. Can you see how good that impression is? That left a really nice impression. That's kind of what you're looking for with this toner ink. Okay, I'm going to run it through the machine. Okay, and that's how that turned out. So you got that texture going on there with the pink, and then the overlay of the postage stamp in champagne, and then there'll be some other embellishments going on here on this card. And so that's 3 ways to use the toner ink on an acetate, on vellum, and then on just regular great pattern paper. The thing about the pattern paper, the double-sided pattern paper, has just a nice finish. It holds the toner ink really well. The vellum can sometimes be a little funny, but you saw I got some pretty good impressions with the fresh stamp pad right out of that effort. And then the acetate's a great surface to hold the toner ink, and you're going to get some really beautiful results anytime you use acetate. And I say acetate, but I also mean craft plastic. Those are pretty much interchangeable. So take a look at the post that I have linked down below, and you'll see how these cards come to life and sit up in a MemoryDex spinner. And thank you so much for watching this. Any questions you have about this or any other video, please leave them. I'm happy to hear from you all, and I'll see you next time.